Okay, let me try that again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Knits. I'm sorry for the delay in the video. I'm actually filming in a different location of my home due to just life, plain and simple. The lighting in this room is a little bit better for filming in the evening, so I thought it would be a better idea to come here. So I'm here. I just want to say hello, happy Friday. I hope that all of you are having an amazing day and that everything is going wonderful in your life in terms of your crafting. I know that there's been some things happening in the news as well as in other parts of the world. But today or right now, we are taking a break from that. We're talking about the thing we love so much, and it's yarn. Yarn that brings us joy, yarn that brings us the opportunity to make something absolutely amazing. So for this episode, it's going to be a little shorter than in my previous episodes because y'all, let me tell you what happened. So my loveliness took off last Friday from work because I had a doctor's appointment that I had been canceling, rescheduling. So I finally have my appointment scheduled, ready to go, ready to do the thing, go to my doctor's appointment, do all the things I need to do to make sure I'm in good health. I'm happy to report that all the abnormal testing that came back last year has come back normal for this year. So I'm so grateful that I am back in good health. However, as I'm like, oh yes, my health is back on track. I am ready to do this, that. I made a long list of things I needed to do for the day. I went to Costco's, went bananas in the store and bought all the things I needed to buy for the home, plus some things we didn't really need. And in addition to that, I was able to get other things done, right? You know what it is. You know what it's like. You run all your errands, you get everything done. Well, I get home and I'm like, oh my gosh, the library just texted me. The book I have reserved was available. So I jet out the house. I'm on the phone with one of my best friends from college. We are just talking it up, just like we always do. You would think we were 20 years old instead of 44 years old. So we're having a great old conversation. And as I'm driving to the library, I feel this stabbing pain in my foot. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with me? Like, what's going on? And the pain progressively gets worse and worse. So I'm trying my best to ignore it, but then finally I reach a point where I can't ignore it, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, "Girl, my foot hurts," and she was like, "Well, what did you do?" I'm like, "I walked out of the house," and so it got so bad. I went into the library, got everything I had reserved, and found a new book. Leaving, and I got in the car. I'm like, I can't move my toes, like it's gone numb. Went to urgent care and they're like, yeah, you have heel spurs. And I'm like, that's the reason why my foot is all like acting all crazy. And they're like, maybe. And I'm like, well, what is it? And they're like, well, it could also be a hairline fracture or inflammation or both. And I'm like, what? And she was like, well, if you still feel pain on Monday, get a MRI. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, it most likely is a hairline fracture given the fact that the pain is radiating up because the pain went all the way up to my knee. So anywho, came home. My husband wrapped my foot, and because the wrapping that they did at the hospital was actually causing me more discomfort than comfort, and I told them that I had a boot at home, but forgot I donated the boot. So I had to order a new boot from Amazon, and which fortunately came on Sunday. So I was able to put the boot on, and it definitely alleviated a significant amount of the pain because I needed to put this like compression on the foot and that the wrap wasn't quite doing it. So that happened. So, in addition to injuring my foot, I needed to grade midterms because my students are doing midterms right now. So, I have had very little knitting time this past 8 or 9 days since I filmed the last episode. So, since I've had limited knitting time, I don't have as much to share, but I do want to share with you what progress I have made and to talk about some things I wanted to put you on to see if you will be interested in. So, first thing, let's talk about my work in progress. No, I do not have any finished objects. However, my baby cousin's hoodie is coming along. Look at it. Look. I got the hood done. I mean, it's not fully done. I actually need to pick up stitches and add the drawstring, but it's almost there and I'm so excited. I think he's going to love it. The hood is actually just the right size, so I'm glad about that. The size of the sweater is really nice. So let me tell you a little bit about this. This is not I wish I had a better camera and I had more time where I can actually film myself making this so I can make it more vloggy. So you have to take my verbal commentary, you know, in, I don't know what I want to say. You have to take my verbal commentary for it. So, anywho, I'm making this sweater, having a good time. I'm just, whoosh, my needles are going like at it. I'm like, yes, finally getting into a rhythm, right? So I'm in the rhythm, having a good time with it. And I notice that the pocket is not quite where it should be. And I'm like, you know what, Rachel, that's okay. I'm sure it's fine. So I'm just going to knit away. Then I decided to do the hem. Here's the hem. I say it. And I am not a fan of long hems, and I decided not to make his hem too long, just long enough where it looks good. And I was watching a podcast where it's more the vloggy ones where she shows you from the beginning to the end of her sweater journey. If I can find the link, I will definitely link it into the description. But anywho, she does this where she actually knits the ribbing inside out. So instead of knitting, you know how on the right side is where we pick up stitches or continue on with the process of knitting the ribbing there. Her suggestion in the video, and I actually have heard other podcasters and other people who on YouTube mention this as well, is that instead of doing that, they do like a German shirt row and then knit it in the round where the project is essentially inside out while knitting that, because you get a cleaner look. So again, I know the lighting isn't 100% perfect, but it's a little bit better at this time of night for this time of year. So you see it? I hope you see it. So I really liked the way the ribbon came out. And I was like, yes, good job, Rachel. So I had it all flat laid out. And then I looked at it and I'm like, why is the pocket 1 inch over from the center? And why is the hem going up? And I'm like, what happened? What happened? What happened was that apparently I did not take in consideration some of the logistics of making it, because I made the pocket slightly different than what the pattern calls for. The pattern calls for you to make the pocket separate. So you do a whole different fabric of yarn and then you are supposed to attach it to the body. I didn't want to do that because I've made this hoodie before and it was very messy. I'm not a seamstress. I'm not the best at sewing. And it's one of those things I want to get better at, but now is not the time. And so to help me with this, I did this really cool thing and I found this video. And again, I hope to share it with you all. But essentially, before, as I'm like knitting away, you know, these little, oop, did I drop? I sure did. Hang on 1 second. I'll drop the stitch on the sleeve. And you guys know what it's like. You drop a stitch, you got to fix it, because if you don't, you can end up knitting away, or maybe it's just me. Keep knitting away. Let me just fix this one little thing. Bop, bop. Bye-bye. Okay, so here, you see that? You see those little ridges over there? So I found this video where this woman suggested that you pick up the stitches, you put your stitches on like waste yarn or barber cord, and then when you're ready to actually interact with those same live stitches, that you pick these little bumps up right here. You see that? Here, I'm gonna get closer to the camera. You see it? I hope you can. So you pick up the stitches of those items, and then it makes this wonderful flap. And so you can then go on to proceed to finishing on. So the way that the pattern that I decided to use to make the pocket, it allowed me to go back and forth, where I made like a flap. And then once it got to the length I wanted, then I was supposed to join with the ribbing and do my thing. Well, it was all cricket. It didn't look well. So I decided, oh, let me fix this. I decided to frog it. And then I was like, wait, if I frog it, that means I have to get rid of my beautiful ribbing. And my ribbing just came out so nice. And I'm a little mentally fatigued with this pattern. Not because I'm not excited to knit it, not because I'm not excited to give this particular garment to my baby cousin. The main reason why I'm a little fatigued, because I desperately want to knit a pair of socks, a shawl, and a hat. I don't know why, but that is what I'm fixated on right now. I also want to make a tank top. I want to make the love letter tank top. It got in my brain. I can't let it go. And I guess I just want a little break from knitting sweaters. And I'm also wanting to make a tee. So with all that said, I want to make all the different things. Fortunately, I live in a climate where I can make a tee later in the summer and actually still enjoy it. However, I need to make this boy his hoodie. So with all that said, I was a little perturbed with myself about the fact that I was not successful at doing the pocket. And so what I did was the following. And again, I wish I took video of it, but I don't have those type of, you know, cameras in my life. So, anywho, this is what I did. I came to the point here. I'm going to show you. You see this point right here? I took my scissors and I was like, oh, don't cut, Rachel. So I had to remind myself that you got to pick up stitches first before you start sticking or cutting things. So I picked up stitches along the knitted row right above, right before I started the knitting. Started the ribbing. There's the word. And so I picked up stitches there. And then I picked up stitches one row above that. So just so I'm clear, here we go. The ribbing starts here, right? I picked up a knitting row right above that. And then I skipped the row in between and then I went above that. So it's like one above the ribbing. Then you have this middle stitch. And then there's one above that is where I picked up the second. So I had one knitted row in between the two items on my knitting needles, and I went ahead and did some steeking. And I decided not to steek the whole body. Instead, I only did that area where the pocket was located. And I was able to get it loose because initially I was just gutting down. I was like, why are you doing that? You can just unweave it. And so that's what I did. I put on the movie The Fugitive. I had like a 90s movie night. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I picked up the stitches and I was able to unwind it. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? So I had it separated and I'm like, go for it. I decided to do some German short rows because this is the area where the pocket was like lifting up and it was looking all bootleg. So I added some German short rows to it and I got it to extend the length. And then once I felt the length was where I wanted it to be, I decided to go down the entire row and then I went back up again one more time. And then when I was ready to go to knit it together, that was what I did. And so instead of knitting it together, I decided, you know what? It might be easier just to seam it together. And the seaming is not my best, but it could be much worse. And so here is the finished version of this long little tail. Here we go. Okay, it would be easier. It's not blocked yet, so forgive me if it's rolling up a little bit. You see it? Yay. So I'm glad I was able to fix that. It's now centered properly. It doesn't cause my hem to go up. I don't need to do some magical blocking to it. It's actually the way it's supposed to be. So now the body is officially finished. So I'm going to hold it up. I know I should have put it on a hanger. So I apologize that I don't have this on a hanger and I'm using my lovely hands for this. But this is the body. Do you see it? Let me bring it down a little bit. So this is the body. It's fully finished. It's in the color that he wanted. The hem is just right. The pocket is just the way it needs to be. So I'm so excited that the main portion is done. It's now time to do the sleeves. And so I got the sleeves going. As you can see, I'm on my first one and I've made some significant progress. But for whatever reason, although I made I made a sweater before with this yarn, I am struggling with joining the yarn. Because when I went to another yarn, which is a yarn store here in Burlington, Massachusetts, they had they had 5 skeins in the same dye lot. They had 2 skeins in another dye lot, and they had another 2 skeins in another dye lot. I knew I only needed 8 at maximum. So I bought all 5. Then I bought 2 in the same dye lot and 1 in the separate. So I've been doing helical knitting throughout in order to make it more blended. And so far, so good. I can't tell where I've used a different color, and it doesn't matter what the lighting is. Can honestly say it's been blending in really well. So I'm so thrilled about that it's been really seamless. And so obviously I'm doing helical knitting right now. I was very intentional about making sure that I have little balls of the 5 skeins of yarn so that way I can helical knit with it. So that's what I'm doing on sleeve number 1, and it's coming along very well. The issue that I'm running into right now is that I know it's a superwash yarn, but I'm not doing a very good job of joining my yarns or starting a new row. So here it is. Oh, okay. Let me try that again. Do you see it? You probably don't because I'm not. Okay, Rachel, one more time. Okay, get it together. You know, this is there. What? Oh, there it is. Now, my hope is that this is going to block out. And if it doesn't, it's okay because it is in his underarm section. And unless he's doing this the whole time, no one's really going to see it. And the reality is only knitters are going to notice the slight mistake that I made. But I noticed when I stretch it out, you can't really see it. See, this is what it looks like stretch out. So it's not too bad. But all in all, I am thrilled with how this is coming out because I'm making this for a male and his body is slightly different from my schematics. I am trying to take that into mine, so I didn't pick up the same amount of stitches as I would if I was making this for myself. Although I'm taller than him, I noticed that he likes bulky sweatshirts, and so I'm not trying to make the sleeve too tailored to his body. Even though I am taller than he is, I definitely think it will still fit him fairly nicely. So my hope is that I can have it done by the end of this weekend because the only thing I have left is the I cord, and I can do that in my sleep. I usually crochet my I cords. I don't really like to do the knitted I cord, but maybe I might do it. I had a good time doing it with my Berlin scarf, and it came out just fine. So maybe I will. Although people were complaining about that, I'm like, why? It was fine. It was easy peasy. But then again, I was watching a series, so I may have been distracted. But anyway, enough of that knitting tangent. There's the word tangent. So it's coming along really well. Super excited about the progress that I'm making with it, and I hope that by the end of this weekend I will be finished. My goal is for this evening is to finish sleeve number 1, and tomorrow pick up stitches and finish sleeve number 2 by tomorrow evening, and then Sunday wet block it and send it out to him on Tuesday. That is my hope, that it will be in his arms before he leaves for his next phase of basic training in the military. So this is for my baby cousin. I am so sorry. This pattern, it's called the Clubhouse Hoodie. It's by Two of Wands. It is a super beginner friendly pattern. Highly recommended. Definitely check it out. The yarn I'm using is Plymouth yarn, superwash worsted. Let's see if I have a tag. I probably don't. One more check. Nope. This is for another yarn. Do you have that in your project bags where you just have random, like, labels of yarn? Or is it just me? It might be just me. But anywho, it's living in my favorite project bag. This project bag, I know I've talked about it multiple times on this channel, but still the love. I have yet to interact with even the Hoagie Locatelli. There it is. The Hoagie Locatelli project bag that I won. I do love it because I do like it, I should say, because it's a bucket bag, but it doesn't have pockets. That's the only thing that's like, if it had pockets, I probably would use that one a little bit more often. But I just love this project bag because I can actually fit this. Now, mind you, I am stuffing it in there, but I'd rather stuff it in here because I trust it. It is the best well-made project bag I ever had, and I hope this yarn store is still in business so I can go see if they have another one, because this was locally made and I would love to buy another one of this woman's project bags because it's been stuffed in my book bag. It has gone through some things, and it should not be in the same mint condition as it was when I purchased it. So I thought I heard someone knocking at the door. Anywho, so that's been my priority knit for the last 6 or 7 days. Mind you, as I said before, I have not been knitting, nor have I been crocheting, but I wanted to catch you up on my Yorkshire blanket because I've been talking about it so much. So here she is. Now I am using Lion Brand Pound of Love. I'm also using, Loops yarn. You know how here it is. Nope, that's not it. You know how Michael has their own like in-store brand. And so that's what I've been using. Let me just put this in here. So this is the next color I'm going to be doing. I love this crochet project. It has brought me so much joy, and I'm so sad I'm coming to it. And I'm on square number 12. That's how many squares you do. You do 24 squares. And so I'm on pattern number 20. I'm on pattern number 12. So it's almost over, which is a little sad. So I have been using 3 different yarns for this pattern, the Yorkshire blanket, and I was inspired by Knitting Natty. The yarn I decided to use, I picked up from Joann's. It was on clearance for $2.97, and I think I actually got it for a little cheaper. It's Lion Brand's Basic Stitch Anti-Microbacteria. So I bought multiple skeins of that, in addition to my Pound of Love. And then I bought Loops and Thread, which is a yarn by Michaels. It's also all worsted weight, all acrylic. And I prefer to make blankets, crochet blankets, I should say, with acrylic yarn because I find that it's given the fact that if it's made for my house or if it's made for someone else, it's going to stand the test of time significantly better if I were to use more of a woolly yarn. Uh, I'm still learning how to use to properly care for my wools, so this is a better choice and whatnot. So please don't come after me, okay? So anywho, this is the yarn I'm being using. So those are the 3 yarns, and here is my progress. So let me get you started. So I mentioned to you guys before I was practicing with my Lion Brand purple yarn. I still don't know what to do with this part polyester yarn. I probably will make like some generic pattern, but here are some of my squares. Here's square. Here's a square. No, I don't know the numbers. Sorry. Here's another square. Oh, this is a clay color. So, and here, I had some leftover, so I decided just to do a little, little. I put a little white, and then I did the clay, and then I did some green, and it came out so beautiful. Here's another crochet. Yes. So one of the things I wanted to share about this particular pattern, why I wanted to show it to you all. Look at this. I mentioned before earlier in my videos, in random, I've been crocheting since I was 12 years old. So can I tell you? This is what happened. My cousin Brenda had mentioned something about, no, that's not what happened. Let me circle back. My step grandmother, who's grandma to me, I don't refer to her as my step grandmother, but yes, technically she is my step grandmother. We're not biological or related, but we're connected at the soul. So anywho, I spent a summer with her and my grandfather, and as well as with my cousins and my step uncles, and we had an amazing summer. All that jazz. But she always crocheted, and so I had some questions about crochet because that's just who I am. I always had questions about everything, and I came home and was sharing with my mother some of the insights I had about crochet, and she was like, "Well, I know how to crochet too," and I'm like, "You do?" All the time. You never ever mention that you crochet. She's like, I do. I know how to crochet. So somehow we ended up at Kmart. We bought me a crochet hook, some yarn, came home, and I just started to make chains. My mother showed me how to make a chain, and I just got to cracking at it. And I decided to make my cat a leash because that's what you do at 12 years old. You crochet a leash for your outdoor cat because that is a type of cat who loves to be on a leash. Was not my best decision, but I recall crocheting a leash so long that it allowed me to allow RJ, that was my cat's name, extended, distance for him to explore the area, whatnot. Because I was always afraid I was going to lose RJ because he had a habit of just going way, way out there, and I didn't always know where he went. But anywho, that's what started my crochet journey. And then my mom and I were displaced a few times, and so when we were living with my cousin, she mentioned that she knew how to crochet, and I was like, tell me more. And so my cousin Brenda taught me how to go into the stitch. I was very good at chaining. I could chain long, long things. And I accidentally went into a stitch and made like a circular thing that I swore was a slipper, but I didn't quite know how to do it intentionally. And so my cousin Brenda showed me how to do it intentionally. So she showed me how to do a single crochet and a double crochet. And I was like, God, this is amazing. So I spent a lot of time single crochet and double crocheting, even though I didn't know what I was doing. So fast forward to 16, because I was 13 when she showed me how to go into the stitch in single and double crochet. And when I was 16, my cousins and I were with my grandparents at my Aunt Louise's house for Thanksgiving, eating a big old dinner that is ridiculous, like 3 days of eating wonderful food. So we're hanging out. I lost the spades tournament. I got kicked off the table. So I was sitting next to my grandmother sulking. And she was like, well, do you want to know how to make a granny square? And I was like, I guess. I have nothing else to do. So she showed me how to make a granny square. And I was like, I like this. So I made the granny square and was having a good time. Did that for the rest of our Thanksgiving break. And kept working on it off and on junior and senior year of high school, and then picked it back up again freshman year of college, deciding to make my friend, the person who lived next door to my room, a crochet blanket. So what was supposed to be a square ended up being a big old circle, but she loved it. She was very grateful for it. I was very appreciative of the fact that she liked it so much. But after giving her that blanket, I stopped crocheting and I got into cross stitch. And so I was always cross stitching. I actually had one of my step uncles take me to Walmart this time to buy me cross stitch patterns, and I had a great time just picking out the patterns. I even made my grandparents a cross stitch pattern. So my grandpa and my step grandmother was so sweet. They were like, "Oh gosh, Ray, this is lovely." In hindsight, it probably wasn't, but I was like 21, 22 at the time. And so they were so sweet. And they actually framed the cross stitch pattern I made for them. So fast forward to I was 20, let's see, I was 25 when my grandfather passed away. And I wanted to do something for my step grandmother to let her know that we were thinking about her, that I loved her, and that she was grandma. And so I went to, I want to say I went to either Walmart or Michael's. I was most likely Walmart. I didn't know about Michael's at the time when I was, dabbing back into crochet. But anywho, went to the yarn, went to a place to buy yarn, and I found white yarn, and I purchased it, and I made her a lovely white crochet blanket. And I mailed it to her because she would always do that for all of us at random moments in our life. I feel like she always had this sixth sense. She would crochet us, and when I say us, my cousins and step uncles, she would crochet us these big, beautiful blankets, and it would arrive in the mail, and you would just be like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of me," because it was. At least for me, it arrived on a day where it was just a bad day. It was not a day where I was like, "Oh my goodness, life is going good." It was one of those, "Oh my God, I hate myself. I hate life." It was. I was definitely, "Oh, woe is me." And so it was much appreciative that she was thinking of me and made this beautiful gray blanket, because gray is one of my favorite colors. So I was so appreciative of that. So I wanted to pay it forward to her. I wanted to give her something like that to put a smile on her face. And do you know she still has that blanket and she still uses it? And she still has my cross stitch. I just love my grandmother. She's just amazing. And I know we're not connected by blood, but we're definitely, as I said before, connected by heart. But anyway, my whole point of telling you that, again, another random story, is because she's the one who turned me on to crochet. And so every time I crochet something, I think of her. And although she's not physically here with me, she's in Florida with living with one of my step uncles. When she is able to travel, she does come to visit me. And do you know, she and I will sit, we'll have our cup of tea, sometimes a cup of wine, or more. We have a beverage together, and we would just sit and crochet, or me knitting. And sometimes we would chit chat, and sometimes we don't. And she is definitely one of my favorite people to craft with, because you don't have to make conversation with her. You can actually just enjoy her company. So I just genuinely so much enjoy her company. And so as I'm making this Yorkshire blanket, I'm thinking of my grandmother and all the wonderful and fun times I've had with her over the years making crafty things. And so yeah, just wanted to share that little anecdote. Where I was going with it, I don't know, but it just popped to mind. So forgive me. But yeah, the blanket is coming along. As you can see, I have all the squares, and it's actually, I have to do square number 12, and then once I finish square number 12, it will be time to make the blanket to connect the squares together. I would like to redo square number 1 and 2 of the pattern. I didn't quite like how they came out. It wasn't quite up to the size, but the ones that came out the way that they were supposed to, I'm super excited about. The yarn I'm going to be using to join it together will be the Lion Brand yarn. And so my hope is to take the pieces like this to make it look like it's intentional. So to take a piece like this that's fully, and then take a piece, here we go, like this one, and where this square is first, this square is second, and then this square would be third, and then it will flow into the rest of the patterns as well. I'm hoping that that will work itself out. I haven't quite figured out the layout of it. And I obviously need to weave in my ends as they're dangling off. But all in all, I'm very excited that I am at the finish point, but also a little sad because I genuinely enjoyed making this these crochet squares. I love crocheting. It's something I don't really put as much energy to because of my uh, affair with knitting. Knitting is, oh, it brings me so much joy. So because, oh my gosh, I look so rough. Please forgive me. It's Friday. I had a long day of work. So you are getting relaxed, Rachel, and not a little bit more sophisticated. So forgive me that I'm not more put together. But anywho, as I was saying, with the crochet squares, I am really excited about putting them together, but also sad that I'm coming to an end with this project because I can honestly say it has been such an incredible crochet experience. Sorry. If you are someone who is genuinely interested in improving your skill as a crocheter, I highly recommend the Yorkshire pattern. In addition to the directions being well written, she provides tutorial videos that are significantly helpful. If you have any prior experience with crochet, it will definitely click instantly. Whereas if you have some experience with it or you're just learning how to use a hook, I definitely think that she will walk you through the process. The thing is, you have to be willing to make a mistake because although I've been crocheting for many years, I needed to go back and frog. So, for example, where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Ah, this one. I had to go back and fraud this little bad boy a few times. So as you can see, it's this beautiful flower. You see how it like emerges? It's almost like a 3D thing, right? Yeah, I had to do that a lot because it just was not 3D in the way it was supposed to. And so we had to when I say we, I mean, I had to go back and frog it again and try again and frog it again and try again. But fortunately, I finally got the hang of it where I didn't need to keep frogging it. And the second one came out perfectly. And I was like, where was this 5 hours ago? Another one I had to was this one here. This is another one that I had to be fraud and try again. And it was because of the puff stitches where I could not decide how the puff stitches should look. So here it is. You see it? Child, this one was a son of a biscuit, but I got it together. It took a minute though. But all in all, highly recommend this pattern. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So glad I decided to do it. In terms of so to switch gears, those are the only two works in progress. I plan on working on this particular project again as soon as I'm finishing with my cousin's hoodie. I cannot wait to put my crochet hook to use. I even got it ready. This particular crochet hook, as I mentioned a few episodes ago, I purchased from Temu. It's a little bit of a play on the tulip crochet hooks. I absolutely love tulip. They're one of my favorite. But unfortunately, I'm not as careful with my crochet hooks as I should be, and I've misplaced quite a few. And so I went ahead and was looking to purchase, and at the time, Amazon did not have the size I needed. And I just recall someone either on YouTube or whatever, I don't know where I got the idea from, but to go onto Temu to see if they had crochet hooks, and they did. And what did I do? I think I put in the name Tulip, and this came up. I was like, those look identical. And I decided just to go ahead and order them. And I got a full set. I didn't need a full set. So I ended up giving away half of it to the Fiber Arts Club at the school I teach at. So that way, students, because there's a lot of students that want to crochet or knit. Let me tell you, I got one student in one of my classes. This girl, her color work looks outstanding. I'm like, dang, can you show me how you do it? And not only does her color work look outstanding, she's doing color work flat, not in a round, but flat. I'm like, you go, girl. You go. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of her. We talk about knitting in between changing periods and whatnot. But anyway, I digress. So with that said, those are my two projects, excuse me. And I don't plan on working on anything else until I finish his sweater. And then from there, I hope to cast on the love letter. And I also hope to cast, which is a pattern by Veronica Lindbergh. I also hope to cast on a shawl, the Coming Together shawl. The designer, her name, I can't remember, but hopefully I will insert it into the screen. And then finally, I would like to cast on a couple more pairs of Summerlee's socks. I've been utilizing her book fairly often, and I find it to be a really great guide to help me pick out just one of those clean palette cleansers. I do have another pair of socks on the needles that I mentioned a few episodes ago, and those are still my go-to socks that I work on when I'm at work. I haven't had any downtime at work of recent, so they are just pretty much in the same place that they were in for the last time I mentioned them. And my hope is that once the sweater is done and once I get to a good stopping point on the blanket, that I can pick those back up and work on those and another pair of socks. Fingers crossed, because I got several skeins of yarn that I definitely want to knit into a pair of socks. Other than that, I am reading several books. The first book I'm reading is Let me actually grab it. Give me 1 second. Whew. I keep forgetting that my foot is not 100%. And so I just jumped up like my feet feel good. Like, don't do that, Rachel, because my foot is like, no, you're not 100%. Stop doing that. That was not smart on my part. But anywho, I am rereading several books, but I'm also listening to a fairly interesting book that I didn't think I was going to like. So here's the book. It is called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And so the characters are based in England, and some majority they're living in England, but some of the characters are from India, Scotland, and Ireland. And so it's really wonderful how the narrator is doing a phenomenal job with the accents, being culturally affirming to the different experiences that people have, and doing this story that I just did not think I was going to fall in love with, but I have. I've been waiting a few months to listen to the story, and it was definitely worth the wait. I've been thoroughly enjoying it because initially the first hour is like, I don't think this is for me. But the story just started to click. And by the third hour, I didn't want to put it down. So I had to make myself stop listening to it. And more than likely, I will finish it this evening. I only have 2 hours left of the story. And we're getting to the part of more of the climax that's about to happen. So I'm hoping everything will work out. I'm hoping that, that whenever there's like a love story, there's always that moment where the two characters who are intended to fall in love will have this conflict, and the story will go one way to show how they worked through that conflict and how they came back together. And I don't mind that too often in love stories. I actually quite enjoy it, especially if it's well written. But sometimes I'm like, okay, like when is the like bad thing going to happen to drive them apart? Like, get to it. And given the fact that we only have 2 hours left, I'm curious when the author is going to do that. When an author waits to like the last part of the story to do that, it kind of throws me off, and I don't really enjoy that. So another little tangent. In addition to listening to that, I'm also rereading the Susan Collins hit, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the prequel to Hunger Games, and I forgot how much I love this story because I think I listened to it before reading it, or maybe it was the other way around. But anywho, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, rereading it again because it's like I haven't read it before or watched the movie. And so this has been great times. And as you can see, I am nearly in the middle of the story and about to hit the end, because as soon as I finish with that one, I will be reading this one. This just recently came in the mail, The Sunrise on the Reaping. I had ordered this from one of my classmates who has a bookstore. I ordered it from his bookstore, and it just came in. And so I want to read the whole series before going into this, but I decided I'm just going to read the Songbird book, and then I'll read this one, and then read the rest of the Hunger Games. That's my favorite thing. But while I was at the library with my injured foot, I went there to go pick up this book by Jodi Picoult. I had hoped to rent it from Libby, but the wait was way too long. So I was like, you know what? Let me see if they have it at the library. And they did. So I went ahead and checked this out. And the other book I checked out because I was randomly walking by and saw this one by B.A. Paris. If you have not read a book by B.A. Paris, you need to. Whether it's an audiobook or physically reading a book, her books are the most incredible and intense thrillers. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And that's why I like her books so much. I don't want to guess from the beginning of the story, like, yeah, I know such and such did it, and be proven wrong. Instead, I can't tell you the number of times where I'm just like, oh, this person did it. And I get to the end, I'm like, oh my God, it's a completely different person. So anywho, highly, highly recommend. This is the perfect book she is the perfect author, excuse me, to listen to while you're knitting or to read as you're trying to relax in the evening. So B.A. Paris, highly recommend her. Outstanding author. Absolutely love her books. I have read more than I care to admit, and I look forward to continuing to read her books. Excellent author. So that is it. Guess what? I don't have any new yarn acquisitions. The last I showed you was the last I purchased. It looks like I will be going through the rest of the month of March without purchasing any, because all the acquisitions I had made, I actually had procured into February. So, okay, I'm lying. I forgot about the red yarn. Okay, but I am not. I can honestly say I have not purchased any yarn since the first week of March. So I'm really, really proud of myself for that. And if I can get through this whole month without buying yarn, that would be a win for me. And the reason why is that I have a habit of just purchasing yarn and then not knowing what to do with it. So I'm making myself abstain from looking at certain YouTube channels that I know they frequently talk about yarn acquisition, or I avoid reading the newsletters or certain yarn shops where they talk about this new release yarn, because otherwise I'm going to buy it. And I genuinely want to wait until my birthday. I will participate in local yarn store day. Maybe I'll get a project bag or something of need. Like if I'm like short on yarn for a project, then I will buy it. But I haven't actually quite decided what I'm going to do for local yarn store day yet. And when I get closer to that decision, I'll let you all know. But in the meantime, I hope that you all are doing well. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening on Friday. As you can see, I am in a different location, as I said before. Just wanted to say hello and connect with all of you who grace us with your company for our little knitting community. I like how the lights are like flowing in. It feels all like, like, oh, there we go. But anywho, thank you again for joining me on Friday Night Knits, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Friday Night Knits. Until then, have happy knitting, happy crochet.